Welcome to another edition of The Script, the podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. His real name is Cardale Jones. His nickname is Beanie Wells. I'm Dave Holmes. Make sure you follow us at The Script OSU. Subscribe right now if you're watching the video version on YouTube. Guys, we have a lot to talk about today, but I want to start where I've been living in fear the last day or two. I've been looking over my shoulder when I'm walking around town. For the second straight week, I'm the only guy who lost a leg on our parlay. And Beanie said his friends from back home are angry with me. Now, Beanie, I don't know what kind of friends you have, but I bet they're a little tougher than the friends I grew up with.
Yeah, my boy Kenny's in the Army, man. So he's about 15 years in, so he's a little hot right now.
That's not good. That's not good. See, I don't know. Look, if the three of us got into a fight, I don't know who would win, but I'm pretty sure who would come in third. So, Cardale, you're just glaring at me. I'm sorry, Cardale, I'm sorry.
Take my advice next time. Technically, guys, I haven't missed one all year.
Yeah.
Take my freaking advice.
Yeah.
Just follow my lead.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. Let me quarterback this thing.
All right, you lead off. We're going to have our picks. Maybe what you do is you follow their picks and fade mine and take the other side. That's coming up later in the show. But let's talk Buckeyes here off the top. Ohio State wins over Ohio U 37-9. So, Beanie, are we going glasses half full that they won fairly easily, or are you going to be one of these glasses half empty people that said, this was a little closer than it should have been third quarter?
No, glass half full. I mean, when you look at this football game, not even looking at this game, looking at OU in general, we knew they were a good football team. They should have beat Rutgers week one. They masterfully beat West Virginia at home in a tough ball game. They had some good players. They got a really good quarterback, a really solid defense. I thought Ohio State came out and played well in this football game. And you got to give the other team credit. They prepare, they practice, they game plan just like everybody else do, and they came out to start this football game trying to win and putting Ohio State into a position. So in the grand scheme of things, I'm pleased with this game because I think we got on track like we were supposed to, especially that second half with the run game, with the defense, the quarterback play. I'm not sweating right now.
You know, it's funny, Carter. On the post game, a couple reporters kind of tried to ask Ryan Day what I thought were loaded questions about his team's struggles, and Ryan kind of wasn't having it because they outgained him 573 yards to 181. They tripled him up. It really just came down to the red zone stall out, which is funny because that's been the story of the Ohio State defense stopping teams in the red zone. It was the other way around because outside of that, they kind of moved the ball at will.
Yeah, a win is a win. One team won a conference championship last year. One team, unfortunately, for the other team, won a national championship last year. So there's levels to this stuff. No one expected OU to come in here and lay down and say, let you guys roll all over us. We talked about this before the show. OU has a really good chance to win a MAC championship again. Miami, Ohio is playing really well. They got a tough test, another tough test with UNLV coming into town. We potentially will see a third straight MAC championship rematch between those two teams. But that's a really good ball team. Even when the first spread came out, we talked about it on the show as well. Mm-hmm. I didn't see Ohio State being 35-plus point favors over this team, and it stayed true. Once again, listen to my bets. And it stayed true to what it was all game. I mean, I expected a good game from both sides. Like I said, OU wasn't going to come in here and just lay down and say, kill us on national TV and Saturday Night Lights. No. So, good team.
Yeah, one thing it came down to also is that the two best players on the field both played wide receiver for Ohio State. I mean, JJ went 9 catches for 153, Carnell 5 for 101, Beanie. And I guess what I'm feeling encouraged about, and I want Cardale's take too being my quarterback, Julian Sayin seems like he can support these guys. Mm-hmm. And really that's what you want out of the quarterback is you never want a QB who can't find his guys. He knows who to get it to, and he does.
You hear everybody talk about the saying that all you have to do is just steer the car. You're driving a Ferrari, all you have to do is just steer in the right direction, and that's essentially correct. I mean, he has the weapons on his football team outside on the edge where he just can't make the error throws. And we've seen him do it once or twice so far this season, but he's still young. He's going to clean things up and make better decisions. But when you talk about weapons that he has at his disposal, I mean, it's second to none in college football right now.
2 interceptions, Cardale. Where do you come down on how Julian Sayin play?
I think he's playing well. I think he's playing like a young player. And I think, with that, you're going to have those opportunities in yourself that you're going to push those limits a little bit and make some of those uncostly mistakes. But what helps him, and I said this from getting ready for Texas, one team, one quarterback is in the same boat to me. Julian Sayin and Arch Manning was in the same boat far as young, inexperienced, a lot of potential. But Julian is different because he has a lot of playmakers around him. Mm-hmm. Both the guys I expect to have great college careers, even though the way Arch is looking right now. But when you have guys like Cardale Tate and J.J. Smith, and then look on the other side of the ball, when you have a defense that's really locked down defense, it makes your job a lot easier. You go out there and play with the ease because you know that I'm just putting the ball in the area for my receivers. And even if I go out here and make a mistake or two with turnovers, I got all the confidence in the world that my defense is going to get the ball back for me.
When you have the receivers that he has and the weapons, you can play a little bit more risky. So you may throw a ball in double or triple coverage that you typically wouldn't throw if you had just a random guy out there at a receiver. So it's expected.
Yeah, because when you throw a 50-50 ball to Jeremiah, it's really an 80-20 ball, right? It's not a bad decision to kind of chuck it up and give it to him. Now, Cardale mentioned the defense. One thing we talked about last week was traditionally Ohio State has had issues at times with mobile quarterbacks. Parker Navarro came in a dual threat. He wasn't. He only had 3 rushing yards, 5 carries. They didn't try a lot with him, but they held him in check for the most part. Defense overall, like I said, gave up 181 yards, but 67 of those were on one play, Cardale. So, I mean, overall, they played really well, basically held them to 100 yards outside of a play.
Yeah, I mean, basically, like you said, I mean, a great play that they made, and then, we got to do a better job of getting the guy on the ground when he catches it. I think he converted on a big third down, first drive of the third quarter. But at the end of the day, the defense played great. And I think when you talk about the lack of running opportunities that OU exposed their quarterback to, because at the end of the day, you got to go play your conference, and you want everybody healthy as possible as you go make another run and defend your MAC championship.
Yeah, dead quarterbacks can't win the MAC. I mean, I think they're smart enough. They're smart enough not to put him in danger, Beanie. But overall, after 3 games of Matt Patricia, there is so much to be excited about with a whole new group of guys on this defense.
Oh, no question about it, man. And I'm going to keep saying it till the cows come home. Arvell Reese is my favorite player on this defense right now. I mean, watching his ability just to move side to side, rush the passer, drop back in coverage. He does so many things great. I mean, he's really reminding me of, Ryan Shazier. I mean, his athletic ability is crazy. And then on the flip side of that, you talk about our new defensive line and the pressure that they've been applying on teams. I mean, Caden Curry, these guys are playing football the way it's supposed to be played right now. And, you can't sit there and tell me that these guys are playing like they're just now getting an opportunity on the football field. Yeah. They're playing like they've been playing for years here at Ohio State.
And that's what we talked about in the spring as guys don't, reload. We build, we reload in that type of manner. When you got those young, experienced guys, but they're all 3, 4, 5-year players who were sprinkled in behind guys like JTT and Jack Sawyer and Tyleek and stuff like that. Now, I talked about this. I was so excited to see this front 7 finally go out here and play because these were guys that was kind of not waiting their turn, but they were being developed so they can hit the ground running and see some of these plays so early as we've been seeing. And guys, it's too late, especially with the way Dave keep costing us in our parlays. You can't afford to stock in Arvell Reese now. You should have jumped on it early when I was selling it to you guys. You can't afford it now.
Can we just wait like 15 minutes to pummel me on this week's parlay? Something that's cool, though, that I love. We're going to talk Dabo Swinney later in the show, but something Ryan Day has done really well is developing guys, but also still being bold enough to go find a Bo Atkinson, right, who had 2 tackles for loss. And Beanie, what I love about this team is there's this mix of new era transfer guys, but they're still developing the young guys they have and bringing along Caden Curry and stuff. It's really good to see the mix. I think it's forward thinking. And as we're going to talk about Dabo later in the show, not every program is adapting the way they are.
Right. I mean, no matter what team you are, you try to find ways to get better. And if you don't, you look in the portal, looking recruiting and finding guys that are going to work in jail, then you're going to be, up the creek essentially because you're going to be lost in times. And Ryan Day does a really good job of, keeping up with the times. And I think that's one of the harder things for coaches to do this day and age is to not get left behind because they're so stuck in their old ways and their mentality is going to be my way or the highway. No, you got to be able to adapt as a college football this day and age. And if you don't, you're going to be a team that's not winning a lot of championships.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about the bye week now. So Ohio State is off this week. Then they're on the road, first road game of the year, first conference game of the year against the Washington Huskies. So what did you guys do during a bye week? Is it practice any different? Is it video games?
Well, first and foremost, Dave, I'm old enough we didn't have bye weeks.
Oh, that's right. You guys just went wire to wire.
All the way through. Cardale, you may have experienced bye weeks, but we didn't get the luxury of having those things.
So you just shined up your leather helmet during your off week. All right, so Cardale, when you had a week off, what did you do?
Practice was more intense because, you have more time to recover, and it was an emphasis on the younger players and continue to develop depth. We knew how deep the season was. I mean, it's a lot deeper now and the season a lot longer. But I anticipate Ohio State going into the situation and Ryan Day still coming from that NFL type of mindset and background of really taking care of your guys during the bye week and almost treating it like how he treated spring ball. The few practices I had a chance to go watch at spring ball, you saw guys like Caleb Downs back there really coaching and really coaching his guys. So coaching guys like Malik Harford and you able to get on the field this past last couple of weeks and seeing the things he was able to do. So I expect those type of situations where you're backing off a little bit on your guys, but you're really giving a chance for the young guys to develop and start to develop some of that depth and get ready to make a push for this long season, especially going into your first Big Ten play on the road.
Did you love having bye weeks in the NFL then? You probably loved it.
I did, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going home the first chance I got in the bye week in the league. I mean, I didn't get to do this in college. I didn't go to none of my high school games. I'm going back right now.
All right, so give me something that you guys want to see coming out of the bye. Where's a place that you want to see this team improve?
Yeah, man, I know a lot of people may say a lot of things to me about this, but the number one thing that I want to see is turn the keys to the RB room over to Bo Jackson.
Okay.
I don't see any reason not to. I mean, the guy's phenomenal. I mean, the kid can, grind out those tough yards. We can see him make those explosive plays in which we've been used to seeing the past couple of years with Travion and Quinshawn. Turn the keys over to him. I know he's young. I know sometimes you want to bring young guys along slowly, but every now and then there's a young guy that is ready to play right now, ready to help you win right now. And I think that's him. 9
carries for 109 yards for Bo Jackson against OU.
Back-to-back 100-yard games.
Yeah. Cardale, are you okay with this? Or as the quarterback back there, if it's third down, if there's a blitz to be picked up, do you want to have the teenager next to you? Where do you come down on this?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
only because, I think we are seeing a star in the making. And I compared him in his freshman year to you in your freshman year as you was kind of brought along slowly. And then in the biggest moments we needed you, you went crazy. Right. I kind of compare that type of situation with him. So continue to keep him on this track. Maybe that Grambling game, he got, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 carries. This past week, he had 9 carries. Let's see how the Washington game go out. Because one thing you got to do on the road is, and Coach Mick, and I'm pretty sure he's still preaching this, you got to pack your tough guy gutchies and your running game.
Yeah.
And then, of course, your defense as well. So he pretty much left the offense, say, hey, just run the ball and put it in the hands of the defense on the road. And I think in this type of game, going on the road here in 2 weeks, he's going to have his opportunities. That's when I think I'll be ready to say, okay, a few more carries here, a few more carries there. But right now, I like the pace that he's on right now. And then another thing, when I think about a young running back and you think about I wouldn't say what happened to Travion Henderson because he came in and he really took over the running back room early. You got to be cautious of the miles you put on his body that early. Right. So I don't want to turn to situations where we look up and towards the end of the season when we needed him most. I say week 10 in the league, week 11, he's getting, 80% of the carries. That's going to be tough on a young body that's still developing to be in, a Ohio State running back and the ground and pound and the bruising that your body's going to take in a Big Ten type of schedule. So, but I would like to see us continue to get better with our big guys up front.
Bo Jackson, 9 carries, gets a bye week. You were doing 35 carries, no bye week. How do you even get out of this chair?
Right, I can barely.
All right, well, first road game of the season. All right, give me something you guys think of when you go on the road. What's the key for that first road game?
Especially going across the country, which is going to be tough.
3:30 kick. It's going to be 12:30 local in Seattle.
I mean, it's going to be very, very tough. But the thing that you have to do, one, is stay hydrated and then stay in it mentally. A lot of times when we would go, we played at Washington before, we get a little bit of free time. We leave a day earlier, get a day of free time, and you'll get a chance to explore not the river walk, but
go catch a fish on
the
market.
Down the market, you get the chance to do some cool things. And that can play with your mental a little bit because you could treat it like a vacation. So you have to absolutely stay in it mentally, understanding, the task at hand while you're there. So, staying hydrated and just staying in it mentally are the 2 most important things in my opinion.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I would say, standing mentally as you going across the country, your first road game with so many inexperienced players who've been in a situation. Now, flying across the country last year, Caden Curry, CJ Hicks, these were guys going into the game. Arvell Reese was going into the game. Do I need to be as mentally locked in for the maybe 8 to 9 plays I'm going to get to play? Whatever, I'm ready, right? But now you guys are guys, right? So that routine that you need to have and develop going across the country on a away game needs to be just as if you was at home getting ready to play Texas in a home opener. So these young guys, inexperienced guys, not young, inexperienced guys, really staying locked into the game plan and still staying focused and understand this is a business trip.
Yeah, Buckeyes 3-0 on the bye this week. Then, as we said, at Washington 2 weeks from now. Coming up next here on The Script, the podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Huge news in the NFL with Joe Burrow. We're going to diagnose that, plus more from the world of college football. Is Clemson broken? What's up with Arch Manning? And Beanie has a scorching take on Notre Dame. Stay with us. Breakfast might be the most important choice you make all day. That's because with Wendy's 2 for $3 breakfast, you can mix and match your very own favorite perfect pairing of our delicious morning favorites.
With this breakfast deal, the choice is all yours, not someone else's. Isn't that how breakfast should be? It's your breakfast after all, not Martha's. She can pick her own breakfast. This one is all on you.
No matter what you choose, from our sausage biscuit with that grilled breakfast sausage or the egg and cheese biscuit with freshly cracked grade A egg and melty American cheese on a fluffy buttermilk biscuit, a small size of perfectly seasoned potatoes, or a medium hot coffee to power you through the morning.
All you got to do is pick your favorite ideal morning pair. You really can't lose because you're the one calling the shots. The choice is all yours. Wake up to Wendy's 2 for $3 breakfast just the way you want.
Limited time only during breakfast hours. U.S. prices and participation may vary. No substitutions, not valid in the combo, single item at regular price.
Welcome back to The Script, the podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. If you're watching on YouTube, click that subscribe button right at the bottom of your screen, or follow us on Apple Pod or Spotify. We are wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, guys, time for this week's Buckeye Basement Solution. If you need help with your basement, our boys from Buckeye Basement Solutions have you covered, and we try to diagnose a solution every week. And the Bengals are reeling right now because they lost Joe Burrow. They won the game against the Jaguars, but lost Joe Burrow. Turf toe, he's elected surgery. He's going to miss ballpark 3 months. All right, Jake Browning is the man for now and seems to be for the next several months. I don't think they're going to do anything major. So, Beanie, your Buckeye Basement Solution, how do they keep this thing on track for the next 10 to 11 games?
Oh, it's going to be hard, but most importantly, they need to just focus on the run game. You know, get that running back the ball on a consistent basis. But then obviously, you know, it's the NFL. You got to be able to pass the ball too. I don't know if Jake Browning is going to be the answer long term, but they better figure out somebody really quick because if not, the wheels will come falling off. It's still early in the season, but you got 3 months without one of the best quarterbacks in the game. That is going to be a huge blow. I don't even know who's out there to go get. Maybe you make a trade for Kirk Cousins and you get him out there on your roster. I think that would be most certainly worth it. If I had to go to Atlanta right now and offer whatever I'd have to give to get Kirk Cousins on my roster, he could certainly help this team.
What's your Buckeye Basement Solution here, Cardale?
You know what? I don't think they're in a position to get Kirk Cousins with his buyout or with his value of his contract on top of the contract they just did with T. Higgins and Chase this past offseason, and then also bringing back Henderson on defense. It'd be too tough. So I'm sticking with Jake Browning. I got to stick with a guy who's been in my system for the last 3 years. I'm a guy that's been proven to help us win some games, and I know he had 3 turnovers this past weekend, but ultimately let them down on a game-winning drive and getting the ball over the pylon for the ends, getting the ball over the goal line for a touchdown. But it's going to be tough. Now, if you can make a move for a guy like Kirk Cousins, yeah, you have to make that move now. They're 2-0 right now on the season. They're leading the division right there with Baltimore. So this is not a situation where you're 0-2 and saying, hey, we're going to just hang on and see where we're at when Joe gets back. And then still, when a guy gets back from an injury like that, it's like, is you going to hit the ground running and be in position to help us make a playoff run?
Right.
Or are you going to just be a guy that we're trying to slowly get back into the rhythm of, you know, making a playoff run? So there's so many factors in there, but for right now, I think the safest bet is sticking with Brown.
You're a good guy to ask, Cardale, because a lot of times backup quarterbacks come in and it looks like a totally different team. You think about like Lincoln Kienholz a couple years ago in the Cotton Bowl when he was clearly not ready to be a starter that day. He was thrown in unexpectedly. So in a situation like this, Jake Browning's one of the few backup quarterbacks who just goes out and slings it. I mean, and they don't change a lot. I mean,
and it helps.
And it helps, right? And you were a guy like that in that I felt like Ohio State almost aired it out a little more when you got in the game. So kind of take me through the backup quarterback mindset of, you know, being a guy who slides in and runs the same kind of offense.
Well, it helps because he's, like I said, he's been in that system for already 3 years. So it's not like a learning curve. You need to, you're giving him as much freedom, I would say, because you already got the trust in keeping him as your backup. So you're preparing him for these situations. Now, preparing him for the bulk of the season, I don't think that's the ideal situation you want for your backup quarterback. But he's been in every meeting that Joe been in. He's been in every game planning situation and taking all those practice reps as well. So I feel comfortable with giving him 3 plays at the line of scrimmage and giving him a kill or a check, because he is proven to be this guy. We have him in case of these situations. So it's different when you bringing in a guy off the street, right? Or trading for a guy who may not know all the terminology and the lingo to start off. So your sample size and your playbook is a lot shorter with this guy just because he hasn't been there enough. He hasn't been there long enough for you to feel comfortable with him knowing everything. Because you go get Kirk Cousins. Well, you want to run a sell concept. It may be Golden in Florida. I mean, at the Falcons, for it may be calling Golden, but in the Bengals, it may be calling Oscar Mayer. So but it's the same thing, but it's a language barrier.
Yeah.
So you have those type of things that you deal with bringing a guy off the street versus sticking with your backup who's definitely been in your system for the last 3 years.
But just because we're in the NFL, this is why I'm saying you got to go get somebody, because let's say they keep Browning, let's say he plays well, then something happens to him. You got to have somebody behind him. Now, I think you said Kirk Cousins' ticket may be too high, but famous Jameis. Go get Jameis Winston. Go get somebody.
Why
that
not?
makes sense.
That would be, you definitely need to go get a veteran guy behind him who you can throw in case he goes down as well. But far as getting a veteran guy right now to be the guy, no, I think Jake's the guy.
Jameis is a great shout because Russ Wilson looked coherent the first couple of weeks, and Jackson Dart, we know, is the guy waiting with the Giants. And Jameis is a guy who also goes in and is not afraid to sling it whatsoever. The other thing I want to hit, though, okay, so Buckeye Basement Solution, they can fix the crack repair. But ideally, you're waterproof in your basement and it doesn't get there, guys. And that makes sense with what the Bengals have done here because they gave all this money to Trey Hendrickson. They gave the money to T. Higgins. And everyone said, of course, you got to keep T. Higgins in there. So you have Chase and Higgins. But you know what? Joe Burrow has now had a bottom 7 offensive line, according to Pro Football Focus, every year of his career.
Yeah.
And you didn't protect your $50 million investment. The Buckeye Basement Solutions say waterproof that Joe Burrow. Don't wait till he cracks.
Exactly. And I think, and I saw a very good comparison online. I don't know who did it, but it was talked about Joe Burrow's first 6 seasons, which he's in right now, and Andrew Luck retiring after 6 seasons. And the stats and the numbers were very similar. All this promise, all this hype, all this next big thing, but the lack of resources put around him to protect that investment. Joe has taken, I think, 45 more sacks than Andrew Luck at this point in his season, at this point in his career.
Yeah.
And then the production for the offensive line is very similar. And then the amount of plays is very similar. So his body is exposed to way more wear and tear. And then what ultimately decided was the fact that Andrew Luck decided to step away from football because his body, after 6 years, couldn't hold up. And Andrew Luck wasn't a guy that was out there, running through guys' faces. It was just the hits that he did take. They were brutal. They were brutal. And then you can say it was because of the lack of protection. But I think that is one of the problems in Cincinnati right now, and it's the lack of consistent protection for Joe Burrow.
That's a wild stat. You sit here and say 45 more times than Andrew. Andrew Luck was hit a whole lot.
Yeah.
But listen, though, that was after Luck's 6th season. Joe was just 2 games into his 6th season.
Right. Yeah. That's
and
crazy.
Already 45 more. And then I think it was close to 50 more just quarterback hits, period.
Yeah.
And I said this after week 1 when they were showing the highlight when Myles Garrett went on a stunt, stunt and hit Joe Burrow after he threw the ball. And I'm just like, I don't know what quarterback can last a full season taking hits like that.
Yeah.
And it was clearly, it's Myles Garrett, but it's clearly a miscommunication on the passing off the stunt with the big guys up front.
Yeah. And I love T. Higgins. I want everyone to get paid. But this is an example in a salary cap league where once you allocate resources and you don't protect Joe, the season's close to going up in flames. Probably going to miss 11 games. 7 of those are against teams that made the playoffs last year. So I guess the goal here is you somehow go 4-7, 5-6. You try to survive, and then he comes back and plays a meaningful December, but it's going to be rough. Now, if you need a solution to your basement, make sure you give our guys a call at Buckeye Basement Solutions, 614-956-4592, or get on BuckeyeBasementSolutions.com. All right, let's get back to the world of college football. We teased it at the top of the show. Dabo Swinney and Clemson lost to Ja Tech. We all like Georgia Tech on this set, so we're not shocked by that. But since Clemson lost to Ohio State in the playoff in that Sugar Bowl, they've gone 10-3, 11-3, 9-4, 10-4, and now they're 1-2. The Buckeyes broke Clemson. Now, I think maybe NIL and the transfer portal broke Clemson. But at this point, Beanie, are you out on Dabo Swinney? Because to me, Dabo Swinney is to college football what Joel Osteen is to college football at this point. They're both just kind of Southern preachers who aren't really winning many football games.
Right. It's hard to say I'm going to be out on Dabo Swinney. That's a crazy comparison.
I mean,
you bring up Joel Osteen in college football.
I mean, yeah.
Dabo does
Neither one's winning. Yeah, neither one is winning games right now.
But no, it's hard to be out on Dabo Swinney just because of what he's done. And then obviously last year, they were a college football playoff team. And I know that's one of the goals for a lot of these teams. Although they weren't one of the ones that we all anticipated to be making a run down the stretch. It's just tough. And he's in the ACC, so on a year-to-year basis, they're always going to have a shot. So it's hard to be out on him. But, man, it's looking tough right now in Clemson. I mean, I know Georgia Tech is a tough team, and, they got a crazy record when playing ranked opponents. Brick, he always has those guys prepared. But Dabo, he got to get something figured out quick. I just don't know that Cade Klubnik is the legitimate guy there to lead them to the promised land with Dabo.
I mean, right now you have no choice, but he's the guy, right? I don't know if they have anything in the wind waiting behind him right now that's ready to go on his ACC stretch. But this is a what have you done for me lately type of league. I am sick and tired of when a player is not playing good, we talk about getting him out.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't talk about what he has done to that point. I'm not for coaches getting fired, but something has to change. And I think it's more so getting with the changing times or get out the way, right? It is that simple because you're holding that program back and you have so many former players of that program who it's hard for them to be proud of Clemson because the way they're looking right now. And I think it is a part of Dabo not wanting to get with the changing times. And if you don't want to get with the changing times, like I said before, just get out the way. Pull a Nick Saban. Dabo, he's the most winning coach in ACC history. But and I think last season, the way they got to the ACC championship game and the opponent they played, everything went their way that they didn't control. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a kind of a wash in that type of situation. Granted, they took care of business when they had to take care of business, but talking about top 12 teams in the country right now, Clemson's not even in the conversation for me personally. And I feel so bad because this is one of my dark horses to win a national championship this past year.
Yeah.
With everything they had coming back. I don't think there's no excuse. With everything you guys got coming back, starting from the quarterback position, and then 2 to 3 projected top defensive NFL draft picks, it's no excuse for this team to play with the lack of discipline, the lack of urgency, and the lack of effort and execution as they're playing with right now.
Yeah. It's funny because I've asked Ryan Day several times about NIL, transfer portal, all the difficulties of being a head coach. And whenever you ask him, you never get an answer. Ryan's never going to be like, I love it. I love all these new rules, right? He's not, but his answer almost every time is something to the effect of, doesn't matter. Whatever the rules are, we got to win.
We got,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter. No head coach is going to say, like, I love trying to prepare for a playoff opponent in January while keeping one eye on the portal. They hate it. Of course they do. But you have to adapt with the times or you're going to go 9-4 like Dabo and become just a middle of the road program. Okay.
The tough thing with Dabo too, sorry, just to hit on a little bit more, is what was Clemson before Dabo? So that's the hard part when we say we got to make a change.
It's true.
He is one of those coaches, every now and then a program or a team in NFL or NBA has a coach that transcends the program, that turns them over to a new leaf. So they kind of deserve to go out whenever they get ready to. And I think Dabo is one of those guys, which is unfortunate.
It's a fair point because he's competing against his own shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And that's where I'm at with it. I'm not for saying fire a coach at all, but I'm like, is there a point where it's just like, come on, let me just walk you out the door, like a type of situation and get some new, fresh blood in here or whatever the case may be. And you can make the same argument for a Big Ten team, Iowa.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
have you plateaued? Is this where you are?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. What's the next steps for us?
So. Yeah. And it's tough because sometimes like Dabo reminds me a little bit of Philip Fulmer back at Tennessee, where they wanted to be a blue blood. He took them there, plateaued, they got rid of him, and then dipped for 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
Right? So you gotta be careful. Okay, so we talked about Arch Manning going into week 1 against Texas. Arch Manning this week, 11 for 25 for 114 yards. And you say, okay, who'd they play? The 85 Bears? No, they played Texas El Paso. So UTEP, Cardale. I know before week 1, we talked about it a little bit on the show with Julian saying, I said, let's pump the brakes on this. He's going to be the number 1 overall pick. It's like he hadn't even started a full season. Where are we now on Arch Manning? Because I'm afraid if his name was Arch anything else, this guy would be a 6th-round draft grade coming back next year, guaranteed.
Well, I'm still the same point where I'm at with him going into the season. I want to see him go out here and play the game. I want to see him go out here and develop right before our eyes. I want to see this guy go out here and attack a team where you know a team is preparing for you. It's completely different where it's like, okay, no, we got to maybe prepare for Arch Manning and a drive or two and some quarterback runs and things like that versus, okay, this is what he like to do. Okay, how do we take that away from him? Now, what is he without the great things that he's able to bring to the table? And then, like I keep saying it with Texas, he has to be Superman for Texas, unfortunately, on the offense side of the ball because of the lack of playmakers that they have. Great defense, very mediocre offense right now. And a quarterback that's not playing his best football that we expect him to be playing. It's a difference when a quarterback is getting involved in a run game when his first, second, third read is in there and taking off and you look up at the end of the game, he got 80 yards rushing. You're like, oh, man, you're a dual threat guy. Versus you're calling 10 to 12 design quarterback runs. That means you don't have playmakers around this guy. And you're exposing him to so many different hits and so many different things when you're doing that. It just obviously that you don't have the guys around him to support maybe his talent. It's going to be a tough road for them going through the SEC as they get into those big play here in another week or so without the playmakers that we saw from Texas last year. I bet Texas is pretty much calling for Quinn Ewers right now.
Yeah, crazy. It's crazy to think about that. Let's hit Notre Dame here briefly. The Irish fall to 0-2 after a loss to Texas A&M. First off, we don't need to give him any more flowers, but Cardale did say last week he took Texas A&M and said, if you're feeling spicy, you take that money line, and it hit plus 7.5. Congratulations. Okay, so Beanie, Notre Dame.
So hard to be good.
Notre Dame 0-2, still ranked in the AP poll. Your thought?
It's the first time that's happened since 1988, and that team was a school up north. But nonetheless, when we look at Notre Dame, I'm okay with it. I'm perfectly fine with Notre Dame being a ranked team because of how they played in these two matchups. I mean, that game could have went either way versus Texas A&M. And then
He's the problem.
I'm the problem.
He's the problem with this sport. No, I'm joking.
But when you break it all the way down, on that last drive, the last play where the guy scores, Notre Dame's defensive tackle was being held. It should have been a penalty, in which would have left there no time to be left in the game. Notre Dame would have won. You go back to the game the week prior to. They lose by 3 points to a very good Miami team. I mean, down the stretch, Notre Dame is a good team. They could very well finish off 10-2 and still be a college football playoff team. I'm okay with it.
This is the problem with I think about them going 10-2 right now. And they can easily write off 10 in a row. I just don't think their schedule is strong enough to make a strong case to say they're a college football team. No team right now is ranked. USC. But USC is ranked 25, I think. Oh, right behind them. Navy may be ranked when they match up. But it's like we given too much credit for the quality of loss versus wins now in this day and age. You lost, you shouldn't be ranked. You 0-2, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, things didn't go your way. I still think they're a really good football team, but no way they should be as close in the rankings to Missouri and the way Bo Pavila is playing right now in Missouri. No way they should be ranked over a team that's haven't lost the game, USC. I know it's only 24-25, but still, we're giving too much credit to the quality of loss versus if you win a game. The name of the game is winning, not, but we were this close. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Just like I said earlier in the show, people talking about, man, Ohio State beat, OU 37-9. Should they won more? If they can win by half a point, win is a win.
Okay.
So I'm going to do it again for Cardale. He's going to be mad at me again because I'm okay with Tennessee. They were ranked 15. I would be okay with them moving up in the polls.
Oh,
after that loss to Georgia.
Okay, so
I'll be perfectly fine with it.
I'm going to break the tie here this way. You guys are 1-on-1 on this. All right, which one of you is objective here? Which one of you had a picture taken this offseason on social media standing next to Marcus Freeman?
Oh, that's where you go with this.
That's this guy.
That's where you go with this.
That's this guy.
And what's funny is I probably saw Marcus a week before the season started too, and we talked about it. That's my guy. I love him to death. But, like I said, when we first started this show, this is going to be as unbiased as I can be when it comes to Ohio State, Notre Dame, ties we have around the country, but I don't think an 0-2 team should be ranked above a 3-0 team.
If they run the table, and I think there's a decent chance they do, it's going to be the most interesting debate this year. Is a 10-2 team that lost its 2 tests still a playoff team? Because like Beanie said, I think people probably believe that they're one of the 12 most talented rosters. If they go 10-2, it's going to be a real test over results against what you believe. All right, coming up next, what you've been waiting for. This week's parlay. These two guys pick a game correctly. I pick one wrong, so you make sure you take the other side of my game, and you'll hit your parlay. We're coming back. Welcome back to The Script, the podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Dave Holmes, Cardale Jones, Beanie Wells. As always, hit us up at The Script OSU on social. All right, time now for our Prime Sportsbook parlay of the week. Make sure you get on Prime Sportsbook and join their Prime Rewards program. They convert your bets to free bets. Good way to play for fun and play for free. All right, let's start in the NFL here. Browns plus 7.5 against the Green Bay Packers. Beanie, please, even you, my staunch Browns fan, has to admit this season is going up in flames.
I would say up in flames, easy there. We're only 2 games in now.
Okay, all right.
But nonetheless, I'm not taking the Browns with this 7.5. After last week, I thought their defense played good to start the game, but for whatever reason, let the wheels come rolling off of the defense. I cannot take them this one.
Yeah, one of these teams is a Super Bowl contender, Cardale. The other one is the Browns.
The disrespect, man.
Let's talk about
maybe one of the number 1 pick contender for next year.
Yeah. Let's talk about the quarterback battle that no one wanted to see coming. The Bengals plus 2.5 at the Minnesota Vikings. All right, J.J. McCarthy is out, and he's been struggling nonetheless, but he's out with an ankle injury. So it's Carson Wentz against Jake Browning. That'll put some butts in the seats, Cardale. Who do you like in this one? Bengals at the Vikings.
I like the Vikings in this situation here. Asking for Jake Browning first start to be in an indoor environment is going to be loud. It's going to be crazy. And I think the Vikings, with Carson Wentz, the experience will ultimately help them do some things in the right direction. And I think Carson Wentz, we haven't seen him in a few years, but I'm pretty sure he's still mobile. Cincinnati have trouble with mobile quarterbacks. So I got the Vikings in this one.
All right, let's talk about last week's parlay. To recap, even though you all know by now, Cardale took Texas A&M plus 7.5, and he even said if you're feeling spicy, bet the money line, and the money line hit. This guy takes the Bengals -3. He is dead man walking.
-3.5.
Oh, 3.5. Yeah. Then the governor calls at midnight, and they somehow cover. So my South Carolina -4.5. Again, the only leg that missed. Lenora Sellers is dead to me now as a Heisman candidate from this point ever forward. All right, so let's try to actually make money this week. I will start with mine. Utah -3 at home against Texas Tech. I think Devin Dampier is a quarterback they needed, the transfer from New Mexico. It's always tough to go up there and win in Salt Lake. So give me Utah -3 in a battle of 3-0s against Texas Tech. So if you're listening at home, you might want to bet Texas Tech, and you're going to win this parlay. So Beanie, who you got?
I got UNLV -2.5 over Miami of Ohio. I like what UNLV is doing down there. They got a pretty good former Florida coach. I know Dan Muller, they probably want him back at Florida right now. But nonetheless, I like UNLV in this ball game.
All right, so we got UNLV by 2.5. What else you got, Cardale?
Nebraska plus 2.5 at home versus the team of North. If you guys remember back in the show, I actually had the team of North losing this game, but to be safe, I'm going to take the points with Nebraska. But if you're feeling spicy, sprinkle a little on that money line. Sprinkle a little bit on that money line, Nebraska. This is one of the games I got them losing, and one of the main reasons why I got Michigan the season under of 8.5. So
he's stealing.
This is one they lost.
He's stealing your shtick.
Yeah, it is. It's
no,
hard.
I just couldn't get it. I couldn't go against it.
All right, let's be real transparent with the people at home. Cardale had another pick, and then during a commercial break, I said I liked that pick.
And I changed it.
Cardale was so mortified that I was on his pick. I said it's like if you're on a date and like, hey, your girl's cute. You'd be like, wait, you think she's cute? She's no longer cute to me. Like Cardale's disgusted. So let's talk about the game he and I almost took, which is Illinois plus 4.5 at Indiana. Beanie, we know what Indiana is, a good team, but not a great team.
Right.
To me, Illinois might be the up-and-coming team in the Big Ten. You get 4.5. I like this game for Illinois.
I love this game for Illinois. Luke Altmaier and Brett Bielema. We know what he was, when he was at Wisconsin, when he was at Arkansas. Brett Bielema is a team builder. I love what he's doing. He's honestly probably about to turn Illinois into the next Wisconsin. When Wisconsin was real competitive in the Big Ten, they were up there in conversations year on, year out with being in that Big Ten championship.
And now we've opened an alternate timeline in the universe, Cardale, because now if Illinois covers, you're going to second guess this till the end of time, man.
I got in your head. No, not necessarily. I just can't take you on live saying we can't agree to anything when it comes to sports betting anymore after you didn't take my advice for the last 2 weeks. Yeah. So, but yeah, I like Illinois in this one. I like Illinois, and I'm not even feeling spicy. I think Illinois win this game outright. Mm-hmm. But if you're feeling real lucky, just take the points and safer bet. I got Illinois winning this game.
Okay, so to recap, I'm taking Utah -3 against Texas Tech. Beanie's got UNLV -2.5 against Miami of Ohio. And Cardale's final locked-in answer is taking Nebraska with the points, +2.5 against the Maize and Blue. If you want to get on Prime Sportsbook, make sure you get on Prime Rewards. Like I said, you bet money, they give you free bonus bets. It's a good time. Get on there. Must be 21 and over to play. Odds subject to change. If you think you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, bye week. Buckeyes get the week off. We do not. We did a show for you, but we're coming back here next week as Ohio State goes on the road to Seattle to take on the Huskies. Make sure you join us next week for another edition of The Script, a podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes.